Hello, welcome to my grandpa's train. Every year out east, there's a giant train show called York. And every year, I don't go to it, mainly because life just doesn't allow me to do that at this time. So instead of going to York every year, I find a collection of trains on Facebook Marketplace and bring them home. And this year, I'd like to show you what I got. When you find a collection like this, it's really hard to pass it up. So I made the trek a couple hours away and back to pick this up. And let's get inside the box and see what delightful things are inside. And no, it didn't come from Walmart. Nice box though. Inside we have a collection of 7 die-cast locomotives. Some by Varney, some by Bowser, some by Mantua and Penline, and I believe there's one by John English Models, or just called English. We'll look at that in a second. We'll look at this one first. This is a Varney F3 diesel locomotive that none of these run except one, and we'll get to that last. Here we go. So we've got our typical Varney die-cast shell diesel locomotive. This one, the paint is really rough. I do want to get it restored and operating. Looks like it's just a standard 4-wheel drive motor, so that shouldn't be too difficult at all. And then probably eventually this will get repainted, but I kind of like the patinaed look. It's very beat up and weathered. One feature you get with antique locomotives is pre-patinated paint. This doesn't come on modern plastic ones. You have to do that manually. All right, let's take a look in this box. It says The Pacific. This is like a vinyl wrapped top to this box. It's kind of fancy. So this is the Mantua The Pacific all die cast locomotive, and this one is shown on the picture with the box spoke driving wheels and the 6-axle tender. And our example here has the standard drive wheels. This thing is nice and heavy. I love that die-cast weight. So this has got the missing a headlight. Everything's complete under here. No detail in the boiler, or in the cab, I mean. Underneath we have a brass U-shaped frame. So that actually means this particular locomotive could be as early as 1937. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to double check the HO Seeker, but from what I understand, the older ones have this U-shaped brass chassis frame. And then we have our Mantua long-range tender with the short 4-wheel trucks. Nothing too exciting about that. I wish it had the 6-axle trucks. So there we have that. That will be a restoration coming up. Most of these are pretty good shape, so it won't take long to get these going again. Let's look in the Penline box. Some of these boxes are actually mixed up. So I believe this is the English model of the... doesn't say anywhere, but they believe this is probably the English locomotive here. This is probably a later one. It's got a phenolic plastic drive gear under there. Or this could be the Mantua one, I'm not really sure. Again, no detail in the boiler, or in the cab. This one has a tender letter for the Chicago Northwestern, which I like, but it doesn't have any wheels on it at all, so that will have to be remedied. So this is the box for the Penline, a K4 locomotive. I'll pull that one out next. So this is the third Pacific. This one, this is the K4 style Pacific locomotive. Unpainted tender we have. And we have that Pennsylvania distinct boiler casting. It appears to be complete. It's just a little dusty, has some added in detail in the cab. I don't know if you can see that here. Underneath, though, we have something unusual. We have our typical driving wheels. These are actually bigger diameter, which is kind of cool. This will be fun to get going. However, this driving wheel has a chunk out of it, and I have no idea why. I don't know if the die casting expanded underneath and cracked it, or if it's just been missing all along. I don't see anything like that on any of the other wheels. So I'll probably just put a little dab of JB Weld on there and smooth it over, and it should be fine. Okay, we'll do this one next. This is a Varney switcher locomotive. This one looks pretty clean, and I think this one actually already does run. So we'll look at this one a little later and get this restored in a future video. Alright, last two boxes here. We've got, these actually are not the correct boxes either. This is for a diesel locomotive kit, but it's not. What's inside? We have, I believe this is a Varney or a Bowser kit. So this is a 282 Mikado, and it's got a Varney tender, I think, or it's a scratch built. It's a Vanderbilt style, but it's wood, and I think the ones that Varney had were metal. But this has got a lot of nice detailing on it. The frame is bent, so that will have to be repaired. So here we have a locomotive, and one more. Same box, which is not correct. It's another steam locomotive. This one happens to be the exact same locomotive, but slightly different, because this one is built with box spoke drivers and has a Bowser motor inside. So two almost identical locomotives, but not quite. I think the casting's a little different. So this one is probably an actual Bowser, because it does have a Bowser motor in the cab, but it has an identical wooden Vanderbilt tender. So I don't know what the deal is here. This one is configured for a mountain locomotive, the 482. Alright, I want to test these out real quick and see if any of these work, so I'll meet you over at the testing spot on the track. Alright, let's start with the pen line, which is in the John English box, and just see if we can get any movement out of these at all. I kind of doubt it. They're all going to need a thorough cleaning and everything, but let's just put it on the tracks and see what happens anyways. Ooh, it's trying, but the motor is pretty unhappy, and I think there's a short circuit somewhere. Ah, no way. It's actually trying to move. But yeah, I think we've got a short circuit because it's all metal, so don't want to burn out my fancy transformer here. I'm impressed though. I was not expecting it to move, but these motors are really quite bulletproof, so should be just the standard routine cleaning and lubrication, and it'll be up and running again. Okay, I've got the Mantua locomotive here. This one, let's see, we'll put down here. And this isn't going to run because one of the motor wires is detached. Even if I could get it, yeah, and we're also short-circuiting, so I shut that down. Yeah, it's touching the pilot because that's loose. Yeah, I'll have to do a little bit more research into the manufacturing of these. This boiler has the wide spot in the middle, kind of a hump, and the Varney penline boilers looked like that. I don't think the Mantua ones did. Well, no. Yeah, the Mantua drawing there shows same boiler. The drawing has a lot more detail on it though, and then we're missing some handrails. Supposedly this Mantua engine can navigate 14-inch radius curves, which is impressive. Okay, in the penline box, which is not a penline, this one doesn't have any wheels on the tender, so I can't use that feature. So this one, I'm pretty sure, is the John English designed. It doesn't have that much of a hump in the boiler. Alright, I found a little jumper wire, so we'll use this and touch it to the track. Wow, this one just wants to take off and run as well. And it's got a little bit of a short circuit in there somewhere. Oop. Reverse, it runs good. Yeah, forward, it's nice and happy. This one's a runner. We'll get this one tuned up eventually as well. I'm actually impressed. I was not expecting this to move at all. Because I was told these were all inoperative, which it is what it is, and they can be cleaned and tuned up and they'll run again anyways. Let's switch gears for a second and do that Varney diesel. I have a couple Varney diesels and I really love how they operate. They're smooth and quiet. This one, however, is pretty rough. Yeah, it's this one is inoperative. I'm not getting anything out of this guy. So this should be a pretty easy one to restore because it's just the 4-wheel drive motor. And then polish up the wheels and away we go. Alright, let's do the 282 locomotive. This one's not attached to anything. This one's got a big motor sticking out the back of it. Should be a standard Pitman in this guy. And it's not going to run, so let me grab my jumper. And we got nothing so far. If I switch to the other rail. Yeah, nothing out of this engine. It's pretty quiet. So that will require. I like how heavy these things are. I know I'm probably repeating myself there, but you just can't get that feel out of plastic engines. One more. This last one for this test. All right, let's pull out the box spoke 482 Mountain with the wood tender. And this one is actually attached. So let's see. Get all the wheels lined up here. I was kind of actually expecting a little bit of life out of this one. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's something shorting in one of these, or it's not making contact. That one wants to run. I don't think it'll do forward. Well, maybe so. Wow, this one actually sort of runs. All right, there we have it. 7 die-cast HO locomotives from anywhere from the 30s to the 60s. Probably the 30s through the 40s is where all these, this one maybe being one of the later ones. It also occurred to me that I believe this Mikado, this Mikado locomotive here is probably a Mantua because I happen to have an identical one that's painted silver, so I didn't recognize it at first. So these are, I'll have to wait and see the manufacturers of these. So I'm going to say this is our Mantua Mikado. Then we've got I think this is our English Pacific locomotive. This is going to say our Bowser locomotive. This is our Varney Penline Pacific, and this is our Penline K4. And then we've got our 2 Varney diesel locomotives over here. And like I said, every one of these will be restored and brought back to life. And don't worry, I will sprinkle them in between our American Flyer restoration projects, which you've already seen. Plus I've got some more HO stuff. So plenty to keep me busy for a long, long time. But like I said, didn't go to York, but there's plenty of trains local to me. So this'll do for now. And until next time, thanks for watching.